Post ko kanina, mag-a-update ulit ako sa tuloy-tuloy na paglaki ni Baby Max. Wow! Salamat sa mga nagsasabing lumaki lalo si Baby. Actually, kagagaling lang namin sa health center kaninang umaga para sa kanyang growth monitoring. Gusto kong i-share sa inyo na normal lang height and weight ni Baby. Iwas stunting pa rin ang uniko iho ko. Ay, sorry. Madalas ko na mabanggit ang stunting sa mga videos ko. Pero para sa mga hindi pamilyar, ito ang nangyayari kapag ang tangkad ni Baby ay mas mababa para sa kanyang edad. In short, bansot. Alam nyo ba mga sis, na nagsisimula ito sa pagkabuntis pa lang. Natutunan ko mula sa health center na nagiging bansot ang bata kapag may kakulangan sa nutrisyon at paulit-ulit na impeksyon sa loob ng first 1,000 days ni Baby. Kapag hindi ito naagapan bago ang ikalawang taon ni Baby, ay irreversible na ito. Kung may forever sa love, may forever din sa stunting. O ayan, ang daming sad at wow na reaction from you mga sis. Alam nyo din ba na may negative effects ang pagiging bansot? Kasama dito ang poor mental development na makakaapekto sa pag-aaral ng ating mga anak. Sakitin din ang mga batang stunted, kaya malaki ang chance na palagi siyang absent sa school. Biruin nyo, kung ganito ang magiging sitwasyon ng mga dear nating anak, paano siya magiging successful in life? Diba, gusto natin only the best for our kids? Kaya, dapat natin itong iwasan upang mas malayo ang maaabot ni Baby sa buhay. Sa lahat ng mommies at daddies na nanonood ngayon, alam kong tulad ko, marami tayong pangarap para kay Baby. Sana mag-excel ka sa school. Mahihilig ka kaya sa math? O sa sports? O baka gusto mong mag-artista? Baka naman gusto mong maging doktor, Baby, architect, astronaut. Ay, sorry. Nadala lang ako. Ay, ang sarap maging mommy, no? Basta mommies, ano man ang gusto ni Baby paglaki niya, matutupad niya ito kung may iwasan natin ng stunting. Makakayang abutin ni Baby ang kanyang full potential kung tututukan at aalagaan natin siyang mabuti, lalo na sa kanyang first 1,000 days. Tamang kalusugan, good nutrition, hygiene at sanitation, at psychosocial stimulation lang, mommies. O siya, breastfeeding time muna, mommies. O paano? Balitaan ko ulit kayo susunod na balik ko sa health center. Bye!
At dito nagtatapos ang Facebook Live ni Mommy Ann. Next time ulit ha!
Sa araw, kahit anong oras ako magutom, umaga, tanghali, nandyan ka lagi, Nay. Kung ano ang kailangan kong kainin, inihahanda mo. Kapag gabi na at akala ko'y tulog ka na, konting iyak ko lang, gising agad. Napakasarap sa pakiramdam ng yakap mo. Idol kita, Nanay.
Tulad ng ibang bata, si Ningning ay may karapatan na mabuhay, maglaro, at abutin ang kanyang mga pangarap. Ngunit maaaring hindi niya makamit ang lahat ng ito dahil sa stunting. Ang stunting o pagkabansot ay ang kakulangan ng tamang taas o tangkad para sa kanyang edad. Sa Pilipinas, isa sa bawat 3 bata na wala pang 5 taong gulang ay stunted o bansot. Kaugnay nito ang hindi ganap na pagdevelop ng kanyang utak. Dahil dito, hirap na nilang maabot ang kanilang mga pangarap. Mahihirapan silang matuto sa paaralan, makakuha ng magandang trabaho at sapat na kita upang magkaroon ng malusog na pamilya. Sila din ay magiging sakitin, madaling magkaroon ng impeksyon, at maaaring maagang mamatay. Hindi na maibabalik ang epekto ng stunting kapag sila ay tumuntong sa 2 taong gulang pataas. Kapag ang mga babaeng stunted ay nabuntis, mataas ang posibilidad na sila ay magkaroon ng komplikasyon at maipasa pa ang stunting sa kanilang mga anak, na magbubunga ng patuloy na kahirapan. Ngunit ang lahat ng ito ay maiiwasan. Sa unang 1,000 araw ng buhay ng bata, mula sa sinapupunan hanggang sa kanyang 2 kaarawan, may pagkakataon tayong isalba ang kanyang kinabukasan sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay sa kanya at sa kanyang ina ng mga pangunahing serbisyo tulad ng pagbibigay ng micronutrient at bakuna, pagpapayo tungkol sa eksklusibong pagpapasuso sa unang 6 na buwan, pagbibigay ng masustansyang pagkain simula sa ika-6 na buwan, maayos na pangangalaga at malinis at ligtas na tubig, at tamang pagpapayo sa nutrisyon at kalusugan. Kung tayong lahat ay magtutulungan, ang stunting ay maiiwasan. Bawat bata ay magkakaroon ng mas magandang kinabukasan sa isang maunlad at mapagkalingang lipunan.
Ako si Dominica Lopez, may 4 ka anak, taga Mamaling. Ako ug ang akong pamilya nakasinati sa kusog ug mapintas nga bagyong Ruping ni adtong 1990. Tungod ni adto nakatunan nako nga kinahanglan nga mangandam. Karon tudloan ti ka unsay angay andamon sa mga susamang katalagman. Kadtong bagyong Ruping nagsugod to kilom-kilom na. Tibok gabi iming wala gitulog. Kusog ug sakit na kaayo ang uwan nga mudapat sa panit. Kay ninaog man akong bana, mapalid na gani siya sa hangin. Pagkakadlawon, nilinaw kadiyot mautong na makwit mi. Igo lang mi nakabakwit. Nikusog og balik ang hangin ug uwan, natumbahan ang among balay ug lubi, nadungog ang among balay. Paglabay sa bagyo, hayag na. Gibati na namo ang kagutom apan wala mi makaon. Mauna nga kinahanglan jud nga mangandam og pagkaon. Sa wapay katalagman, unsa nga pagkauna man ang mahimong andamong kuyog sa disaster preparedness kit. Alang sa madagko og hamtong, mahimong mangandam og emergency food sa ni akong ipakita. Pag-andam og mapagkaon og imnonon nga mapaigo og 3 adlaw, labi na kanang di na lutuon, di na i-ref o gaan ra bitbiton. Isulod sa sudlanan nga dili mabasa. Labing importante mao ang tubig nga pang-inom o panghugas, 4 ka litro kada tawo. Pagdala og mga dilata nga isda, karni, fruits ug vegetables, apili sab og mga dilata nga juice ug gatas. Mahimo sab apilan og cup noodles. Gamit sab kaayo ang mga dried fruits sama sa pasas, dried mango ug uban pa. Mahimo sab gani kanang ready to eat nga buwad, isda sama sa bulinaw. Kini makahatag sa gikinahanglang bitamina ug protina. I-apil sa imong emergency food ang mga pagkaon sama sa mani, peanut butter, biskwit ug jelly. Puno ni sa energy nga kinahanglanon panahon sa katalagman. Pagdalasab og mga comfort food sama sa candy, kape ug mga instant cereal sama sa oatmeal o cornflakes. Pagdalasab og iodized salt, abridor ug mga disposable nga plato, baso, kutsara, tinidor. Kung doon na kay kuyog nga taong may espesyal nga dieta sama sa tigulang, batang nagtutoy o diabetison, andami sab sila sa ilang espesyal nga pagkaon. Aron sayon ra ang pagbakwit-bakwit, isulod ang imong emergency food sa bag nga sayon rang dadon. Sama niini. Ang katalagman dili nimo matag-an. Busa pangandam gayud samtang wala pa kini mo igo aron dili ka magutman. May sama ang tatas mga hulmigas nga bisan wala pa ang tigulan, nangandam na og pagkaon. Salamat. Bye.
ginagawa. Naglilinis ng bahay, naghahanda ng agahan, at kung ano-ano pa. Pag nagbe-breastfeed ako kay nanay, ginagawa mo lahat para tulungan kami. Nakikita ko nga si nanay na laging nakangiti at masaya. Idol kita, tatay! Nung 1 month pa lang ako, si nanay ang madalas kong kabonding dahil breastfed ako. Pero ngayon, dahil mas malaki na ako, palagi na rin kitang nakakasama, tatay! Tinutulungan mo po si nanay maghanda ng pagkain ko. Ikaw na rin minsan ang nagpapakain sa akin. Mas masaya pag maraming bonding time kasama ka, tay. Mas masaya pag sama-sama tayo. Nay, bakit kahit nasa trabaho ka, may breast milk pa rin akong naiinom dito sa bahay? Kaya pala ito ang ginagawa mo. Pinag-iipon mo ako ng breast milk habang nandun ka. Tapos, iniiwan mo rito para kahit umalis ka na, hindi ako magugutom. Pati pagkain meron. Kaya mula nung maliit pa ako, hanggang ngayon, walang problema. Galing mo talaga, Nay. Ang sarap ng pagkain ko ngayon. Gulay sa lugaw. At sabi mo, Nay, mabuti ito para sa akin. Iba't ibang pagkain nga ang hinahanda mo para sa akin. Pakukuluan mo muna, tapos dudurugin. At ihahalo sa malapot na lugaw. Nay, bukas po, gulay ulit ha?
Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Peter Pan. He lived in Never Never Land. Everyone knew him as the boy who may never grow up, may never reach average height, may never escape the threat of infection and disease, may never do well in school, may never get a job or contribute to his country's economy, and may never escape The consequences are devastating. The damage caused by stunting is irreversible. If this is a life you never want for a child, help us write a fairy tale ending. Like this one. But all was not lost. Peter's friend Tinkerbell sprinkled her magic pixie dust and sent him back to the first of his 1,000 days. She made sure Mama Pan had access to nutritious food, to clean water, to basic health services, to micronutrients and education. And from the moment he was born, Mama Pan knew to exclusively breastfeed him for 6 months to help protect him from illness. Peter grew up healthy and strong. He went to school, he got a good job, he gave back to his country and had healthy children of his own. You might even say he lived happily ever after. Every child deserves the right to grow up healthy and reach their full potential, but millions don't. Malnutrition is the underlying cause in at least 35% of all child deaths under 5. We may not have any pixie dust, but we have the power of our voices. Join World Vision's Child Health Now campaign today and call on world leaders to urgently address poor maternal and child nutrition. Together, we can tackle the never.
Ang maayos na nutrisyon ay ang pundasyon ng maunlad na bayan. Well-nourished mothers give birth to healthy babies who can achieve their full growth and development potential to become productive adults and live better lives. Kaya naman ang pamahalaan sa pangunguna ng National Nutrition Council ay higit na paiigtingin ang pagtugon sa hamon ng malnutrisyon sa ating bayan. Ang tugon, ang Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition 2017 to 2022 o PPAN.
The Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition, or PPAN 2017-2022, is an integral part of the Philippine Development Plan 2017 to 2022. It is consistent with the Duterte administration's 10-point economic agenda and the Philippine Health Agenda. The PPAN consists of 12 programs. 8 are nutrition-specific, 1 is nutrition-sensitive, and 3 are enabling support programs. We have had previous PPANs
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am James Aaron Perez, the Nutritionist Dietitian 2 of DOH, CVCHD, and National Nutrition Council Region 7, your host this afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Just a few reminders to our participants. While waiting for the other participants to join in, please fill out the attendance sheet, and the link can be found in the chat box. You may also scan the QR code flashed on the screen. The event is being recorded, and be reminded of the COVID-19 precautions. Please mute yourselves when not speaking. We will now officially start the program with a prayer to be led by Miss Franz Cassandra R. Ontina, the ND2 of DOH, CVCHD, and National Nutrition Council Region 7. This will be followed by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem and the NNC hymn. Miss Franz, over to you.
Let us be aware of God's presence within and among us as we say, in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. As we gather here in your presence, our Father, to seek your strength and guidance, thank you for your unending compassion. We give thanks for those present with us in this online forum, knowing that you will guide our thoughts and actions so that you may be glorified. May we be strengthened and filled with peace. May we love and serve one another as you has instructed us. Fill us with your spirit to accomplish God's wonderful work on earth today. O Lord, you are deserving of all glory and praise. Help us to love as you do and act wisely so that others may be attracted to your salvation and hope. Allow us to build each other up today as we give you the glory. Gracious God, thank you for this opportunity to be transformed through this forum in your presence, mind, heart, and soul. We are with you. We adore you. In Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, helas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinagang tulakaw.
sapat, lumaya ang bayan sa malnutrisyon. Tayo ay nagpapanday ng isang kamalayan, walang magugutom sa bawat tahanan. Itataguyod ang pamamahala sa tamang nutrisyon, lokal man o pambansa, sa nayon at lungsod. Kasama ng ibang sektor, pangunahan ng pagkilos sa wastong nutrisyon, bayan ay susulong. Tayo ang NNC, tapos pusong nagsisilbi sa mga panig ng bayan, ating aabutin nutrisyong sapat para sa lahat. Tayo ang NNC, taos pusong nagsisilbi sa ating tungkulin at iisang layunin, nutrisyong sapat para sa lahat. Nutrisyong sapat para sa lahat.
Nutrisyong sapat para sa lahat.
Once again, maayong hapon ka natong tanan. Ako di ay si James Aaron Perez, the nutritionist dietitian 2 of DOH and NNC Region 7, your host this afternoon. Welcome to all our participants, guests today in this forum titled Prioritizing Realistic Outcomes for Nutrition or Pro-Nutrition, a call to legislators and youth leaders for PPAN engagement. This forum is staged to engage legislators and youth leaders here in Central Visayas to be part of the solution of malnutrition burden. We shall orient them and other participants on the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition or PPAN and engage these sectors in the implementation of PPAN 2023 to 2028. This online forum is brought to us by the Regional Nutrition Committee through the National Nutrition Council Region 7 and of the Department of Health in cooperation with the National Youth Commission Visayas and the Philippine Counselors League. We are very thankful for your presence at this event. Sa panghinapos nga bahin ning tuig 2022, among paninguha dinhi sa National Nutrition Council o sa Regional Nutrition Committee nga mapahibalo ninyo and ang plano pang nutrisyon dinhi sa nasod o ang Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition and how each and every one of us be one of the spoons in addressing hunger and malnutrition in Central Visayas or Central Philippines. And to welcome us all to this event, we shall hear an opening remark from the City Councilor of Bais City, Negros Oriental, and President of the Philippine Counselors League, Negros Oriental, Honorable Bruno G. Bufard III. Honorable Bufard is the fourth-term Bais City Councilor and a current Chairman Committee on Health and President of the PCL Negros Oriental. Ladies and gentlemen, let me please welcome the Honorable the City Councilor and the President of the PCL Negros Oriental, Honorable Bruno G. Bufard.
Yes, good afternoon. Good
Good afternoon,
afternoon.
sir.
Yes, yes, as mentioned, I am councilor, now acting vice mayor of Bai City, at the same time president of the Councilors League of Negros Oriental, representing 266 councilors of the province. I would like to welcome all participants in this meeting in our effort to uh, maintain legislation for any nutrition legislation. And I would like to encourage all my councilor member of the province to support any nutrition program of the LGU, not only in our province but the whole region. As the president and as a young legislator, it is my duty to encourage other legislators, and as a graduate also of BS Physical Therapy, and at the same time a graduate of BSN licensed nurse. It is my advocacy to promote health, wellness in our citizen, not only in our city and but in the whole region. So I hope that all of us here in this meeting will have a fruitful one, and in the future we will meet face to face. So thank you and good afternoon.
All right, thank you very much for that, Honorable Bufard. It is really a wonderful opening remark note that to encourage the support for nutrition, not just in the cities and municipalities. So it is really a wonderful statement. Thank you for that, Honorable Bufard. And to continue, no, um, once again, let us applaud for Honorable Bruno G. Bufard III of Bai City, Negros Oriental, and current the president of the Philippine Councilors League of Negros Oriental. At this point, we will be hearing an inspirational message. Everyone, please welcome to our virtual platform the Regional Executive Director of the Department of Agriculture, Region 7, and the Vice Chair of the Regional Nutrition Committee, Director Joel A. Lumba, who will be aptly represented by the Regional Technical Director for Research and Regulations of the Department of Agriculture, Director Wilberto O. Castillo. Please take it away, Director Dr. Castillo.
Okay, okay ra akong audio.
Hello there, Doctor. Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much to our distinguished guests, local leaders, our youth, and all our participants in this online forum. Good afternoon. It is with great honor and privilege to speak in behalf of the Department of Agriculture and to all sectors that have provided a great impact and contribution for the betterment of the Filipino towards achieving a food-secured nation and a well-nourished populace. We all know that nutrition is everybody's concern, regardless of one's agency's mandate, goals, and mission. That malnutrition is a multi-faceted problem requiring a multi-sectoral mix interventions towards its sustained reduction. According to the state of nutrition in the country, we have a triple burden of nutrition, that is undernutrition, that includes underweight, stunted, and wasted. We have also micronutrient deficiency, overweight, and obese. These burdens are due to poverty and inequality, social cultural factors, poor water quality, sanitations and hygiene, and maternal nutrition and poor diets. The Department of Agriculture, as the Vice Chairperson of the Regional Nutrition Committee, plays a very crucial role in attaining and achieving a food-secured nation. According to the data presented by the National Nutrition Council during the Viennese Congress held in November 3, the Philippines placed 146 out of the 171 countries in the Global Food Security Index of the second quarter this year based on 3 dimensions: food accessibility, crisis level, and food system and resilience. And that the country has a score index of 5.05, which is last among its peers in the East and Southeast Asia. This sends a clear message to all of us to do our share in order to improve our performance, and we all have our share in this goal. In achieving our vision of a well-nourished Central Visayas, we call each and everyone here to join us as we implement nutrition-sensitive interventions to include vegetable gardening in one's backyard and raising backyard livestock or poultry. All these are good sources of foods with vitamins, minerals, and fibers needed by one's body. Having our own food at home means foods are readily available and fresh, that the vitamins, mineral components are still intact and abundant. That means if you have your own garden, it is 100% free of contaminants or toxins. No? And the last, you can save an amount of money once you have your own garden. The amount saved can be used to buy other foodstuffs. To cap this message, we encourage our local leaders, our councilors, and youth leaders to engage in agriculture. Let us join together and act together towards one direction. The direction of this current administration, which is to increase local food production. And also we take this opportunity to share with you that the month of November is a National Rice Awareness Month. Hence we campaign for a healthy you to follow the bakada, which means for adlay mais, saba at iba pa ay ihalo sa kanin. Ba, brown rice ay kainin. Kanin ay huwag sayangin. At dapat bigas ng Pilipinas ang bibilhin. Through this abakada, you can help our country achieve food sufficiency and our farmers increase their income. And that for every grain saved, a life is saved. Have a well-nourished event. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for that, Dr. Castillo, and of course to our regional director Joel A. Alumba. Indeed, happy Rice Awareness Month, no, for the month of November. We are very grateful for your continuing support, especially with the successor PPAN that focuses on ensuring food security and proper nutrition, which has 3 pillars, including sufficient and stable supply of food commodities attained. Second, access of consumers to affordable, safe, and nutritious food expanded. And lastly, the third one, nutrition across all ages improve. And thank you very much for that, Dr. Castillo. Indeed, nutrition is everybody's concern, which needs a multi-sectoral answer. So mga ka-nutrition, as you may know, malnutrition is a chronic problem in the country. And here as well in Central Visayas, the number of children affected are still significantly high. To further improve the delivery of nutrition-specific, nutrition-sensitive, and enabling interventions and scale up these nutrition efforts, multi-sectoral engagement is needed. Thus, this forum we have this afternoon. This online event is staged to achieve the following objectives. First, to discuss the key components of PPAN 2023 and 2028 and its relation to the Local Nutrition Action Plan. Second, to enumerate the roles of legislators and our youth leaders in the achievement of LNAP and PPAN targets. And third, to identify landmark nutrition legislations passed by high-performing local governments that can be replicated in other areas. And lastly, four, to share good nutrition practices implemented by the youth sector that contribute to nutrition outcomes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to lay out the nutrition situation in the country, in our region, our first speaker this afternoon is Ms. Nasudi G. Soluta, the Nutrition Officer 3 of NNC 7. Ms. Nasudi has 10 years in service under the National Nutrition Council Region 7 and has an ongoing master's in public health focused in nutrition at Silliman University. And she is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics at UP Diliman, Los Baños. Ladies and gentlemen, mga kanutrisyon, let's call on innovative leaders, no? We shall have the virtual stage of the Nutrition Officer 3 of the National Nutrition Council Region 7, Ms. Nasudi G. Soluto. A virtual applause, please.
Good afternoon. I am Nasudi G. Soluta, Nutrition Officer 3 of the National Nutrition Council, and I am assigned to talk about the Central Visayas nutrition situation. Before I begin, I would like to start off with my outline for presentation this afternoon. We are going to start off with the triple burden of malnutrition, to be followed by the consequences of malnutrition, and then I'm going to present the Central Visayas nutrition situation, and lastly, the action points for our legislative bodies and the youth sector. To begin, we are going to start with the triple burden of malnutrition. When we say triple burden of malnutrition, this is what I mean. There is three types of malnutrition that is simultaneously happening in our country as well as in our region. We, of course, know a lot about undernutrition, and undernutrition is what we think about when we talk about malnutrition. This is where we could classify children who are underweight, those who are wasted or niwang kaayo, and those who are stunted. But then, we also have the forms of malnutrition that we don't easily see, which is micronutrient deficiencies. And lastly, we have overweight and obesity, which is a rising problem in our region. So for undernutrition, there is around 3.4 million children under 5 years old who are stunted. This means that a lot of the children in the Philippines or in the country has chronic malnutrition or have long-term malnutrition. And there are around 685,000 children who are wasted or niwang because of acute malnutrition. When we talk about micronutrient deficiencies, there are a lot of different micronutrients, but what is usual, or what is the usual micronutrient deficiency in our country includes nutrients such as iron, We have vitamin A, we have a deficiency in iodine, we still have a deficiency in vitamin D, zinc, as well as calcium. And most of those who are affected by micronutrient deficiencies are children who are under 5 years old. Around 17% of our children have micronutrient deficiencies, and that equates to around 1.8 million children. And then we have women of reproductive age, and of course, they are around 10%. Women of reproductive age rather are around 10% anemic, which means a lot of the women out there are anemic, and that is also a form of malnutrition. Lastly, we have this problem in overweight and obesity, and around 350,000 children under 5 years old is overweight or obese, and there is around 3.3 million school children as well as adolescents who are overweight. Especially, it has grown especially during the start of COVID, wherein a lot of our mobility, a lot of us get to spend more time at home sitting down in front of our computers and aren't really given a lot of opportunities to have physical activities. So a lot of these have consequences on our health, especially those of our children and adolescents. Before I go talk about the different types or the different consequences of malnutrition, I'd like to touch up on the Philippine Food Security Index, which is, as you can see in the slide that I am showing right now, the lowest in East and Southeast Asia. So that's around 5.05 or 10 out of 10 index score. And this is something that we really have to work on if we want to, address the problem of undernutrition and micronutrient deficiency specifically. We go to stunting, and we are in a pandemic right now, even if the protocols for the COVID-19 pandemic has eased out, but we still are in a pandemic. And it's not just COVID-19, we're also looking at the silent pandemic, which is stunting. As I have presented in the previous slides, stunting is very high in our country, and that is because it is something that we really did not recognize for a long while. So why is stunting a silent pandemic? First, we have to get it through ourselves that stunting is the most serious form of malnutrition. It is the most serious form of malnutrition because we are looking at chronic malnutrition, wherein we're looking at years and years of being undernourished. And that is what stunting is. Second is that stunting is irreversible, and this is what makes it more serious. It is irreversible, and it means that it is an outcome, or it is irreversible. It means that we don't have a way to turn back. It is an outcome of being chronically or long-term receiving inadequate nutrition and repeated bouts of infection, especially during our first 1,000 days. That means that starting from when a child is in their mother's womb up to their second birthday, if there is inadequate nutrition then, or there is continuous infection, it also leads to stunting. And lastly, 1 out of 3 Filipino children is stunted. So we go to the consequences of malnutrition. In the slide below, you can see there the negative impact of stunting in brain development. And this is why it becomes serious. Stunting is not just being putot or being short of height. Stunting could also mean being short of neurons, no? When you can see the difference between healthy growth and stunted growth, you will also see the difference in their brain matter, the gray matter in our brains. Healthy growth or healthy children are able to grow more gray matter. This means that they have more developed brains, they have more, what do you call this, better capacity to learn compared to stunted growth or stunted children, wherein there will be less gray matter and they will have less opportunity to learn and have poorly developed brain connections. So there are several consequences of stunting, and this will lead to, for example, a reduced learning capacity, lesser income when they grow up because they weren't really able to learn a lot at school. They will be more prone to non-communicable diseases such as heart diseases, diabetes, stuff like that. And of course, because children, in general, a lot of children who are stunted will not be earning a lot. There will also be a loss of economic productivity for the community and the country as a whole. So that's a lot of consequences that we can't afford to take. So I'm going to talk about the nutrition situation in Central Visayas. In Central Visayas, I'm going to talk, or I'm going to present the nutrition situation based on the Operation Timbang Plus or OPT Plus. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with OPT Plus. It is when your barangay nutrition scholars or when your barangay health workers go around your community and take the height and length as well as the weight of the children below 5 years old. So it's an annual mass weighing and height taking of all preschool children who are 0 to 59 months old, or that's below 5 years old. And we use 3 indices: the weight per age, the length or height per age, as well as the weight or height per length. And this is according to the NNC Governing Board Memorandum Circular Resolution number 4 of 2012. So we started doing this in 2012, taking the 3 indices. Before that, we were only weighing children and looking at their weight per age, right? So we target around 80% of the children, or we target around 80% of the estimated number of children in the LGU, so that we could really make a good picture of what is happening in our communities. So in Central Visayas, and this is our latest nutrition situation as of the of this year, that's 2022. For stunted or pagkaputot na mga bata, we have around 8.9% prevalence, or it's still around 55,000 children who are stunted or putot. And when we really look back to the previous slides that I've discussed, there's still a lot in magnitude. Even if it didn't, or if it did not reach a double, what do you call it, digit prevalence rate, but it's still high in value or in magnitude, in, warm bodies. When you count the number of children, there's still a lot. And then we have wasted, and wasted children or NIMWANG is around 2.3%. That's 14,503. So when we talk about the 2.3%, I am very happy to say that we have actually reached our targets that we have set before the start of the PPAN planning in the previous cycle. And underweight or gaan sa ilang timbang is 3.8%, or that's around 23,000 children under 5. And lastly, we have overweight and obese or tambok, which is around 3.0%, totaling to around 18,000 children under 5 years old. So that's the Central Visayas nutrition situation. I'm going to show you the trends so that we know how we were doing. So in the last 5 years, I am very happy to say that we have actually decreased, even if we decreased a little, not by like a long shot, but little by little, we have been improving our prevalence of stunted in the region. So that's around 12.2% in 2018, and right now we're standing at 8.9%, and we're very happy to see that. Next, we have underweight or gaan. This has been going up and down for a long time now, but this is from 2021, that's last year, up to this year. We're happy to say that we have decreased a lot in terms of prevalence from 4.9 to 3.8%. And then for wasted or pagkaniwang, wherein we have actually a full program committed to really address wasting in our region, there is a slight decrease in the prevalence. So that's from 2.4 to 2.3%. And lastly, for overweight and tambok, this is, as I've said earlier, it is a little alarming because it has really increased from 2020 to 2021, as you can see in the slide below. But I'm happy to also report that there has been a slight decrease from last year to this year, from 3.1 to 3%. Now let's go to the ranking in the region. So this is the regional ranking, and I'm going to show you the top 10 local government units per type of malnutrition according to our OPT plus. So we start off with being underweight, and as you can see there in the slide, these are our top 10 or highest prevalence LGUs for underweight. And then we have stunting. Again, for stunting, these are our top 10 stunted prevalence for stunting, LGUs who have high prevalence for stunting rather. And here you can see that a lot of them are from Negros and from the province of Cebu. So this has been a trend lately. It has also been actually this is the same these are the same provinces who are really high in stunting rate. We also are looking at the wasting prevalences, and for wasting prevalences, which is actually a show or a sign of a sudden problem of, let's say, food insecurity, for example, or for example a sudden infection that affected the community. You can see here that a lot of the children who are in the underweight ranking, or the LGUs who have ranked in the underweight ranking has also ranked in the wasting ranking. So again, it's still from the provinces of Cebu and from the provinces of Negros Oriental. And lastly, we have overweight and obesity, and this is a different story from the previous three slides or the previous three ranking of prevalence. As you can see, it has changed entirely. A lot of the local government units from the three previous ranks of malnutrition are not here in overweight and obesity. And here we can see also LGUs from not just Cebu province, but then we also have local government units from Bohol province as well as from Siquijor. So I'm also going to present to you the local nutrition committee functionality, and this is just a way to really put it out there that there is a a connection between the functionality of an LGU's local nutrition committee to the stunted or the types of malnutrition in the LGU. As you can see, for example, here we're showing Bohol province, and a lot of the LGUs in Bohol province are fully functional. And this is very evident when we look at the top 10 top 10 ranking for malnutrition prevalence. There are not a lot of LGUs from the province of Bohol, maybe because a lot of them are really working towards addressing malnutrition in their areas. So this is the functionality of Bohol province. As I've said, thank you. Thanks so much to our representatives from Bohol for really being out there and being active, and for making sure that the local nutrition committee is fully functional and really addresses the type of malnutrition. We also have Cebu province, and unfortunately we really weren't able to gather a lot of the data from Cebu province, but from the minimum report that we have received, a lot of our LGUs in Cebu province are still either substantially functional or partially functional, and then there are some who are actually non-functional. So for Negros Oriental, also, you can see that a lot of the cities, or mostly the cities, are those who are functional. The rest are usually either non-functional, partially functional, or substantially functional. And lastly, we have Siquijor province, which is mostly fully functional and substantially functional. And the functionality is based on the DILG report, and it looks at the different criteria. The criteria includes having meetings, having implemented programs, having a nutrition action plan with budget, and so on and so forth. If you would like to know more about it, you could go through the National Nutrition Council page. If you also would like to, help or ask for help to functionalize your local nutrition committee, the National Nutrition Council would gladly help you. So just tell us, or you could message us on our Facebook page for that. Right. So for the last part of my presentation, let's talk about action points that the legislative bodies as well as the youth sector could help the nutrition program or the nutrition sector in. So we start with the implications of the nutritional status first. From the previous slides that I've shown you, there there is a need for effort towards decreasing stunting and overweight and obesity. And then second, despite the decrease in prevalence of different forms of malnutrition in the region, there are several forms of malnutrition that is still great in magnitude. That means there are a lot of warm bodies, or a lot of children are still affected by types of malnutrition, specifically stunting and overweight and obesity again. And then the local nutrition committee functionality is very important to reach the target and goals of the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition 2023 to 2028. So what are the action points needed for these? For our SB members, we really hope that you could, help us with the passage of nutrition-related policies and programs, and to ensure the adoption of the new Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition, as well as your involvement would be very much welcome in the implementation of the nutrition program. And for our SK members, we really hope that you could initiate the mobilization of your youth leaders, your local youth leaders, for nutrition education, and initiate young people targeted nutrition programs. So that's it for our action points, and these are our contact information. If you need help or you need technical assistance, please do contact us here.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was again Ms. Nasudi G. Saluta of the Nutrition Officer 3 of the National Nutrition Council Region 7. Thank you very much, Ms. Nas, for concisely discussing the nutrition situation. Indeed, we need the involvement of the legislators and the youth to help address the triple burden of malnutrition that we are facing. To our virtual participants who are joining in with us today, we have provided a question box for you to input if you have any questions regarding with the slides that you have seen a while ago or to our upcoming slides, pwede gyud ninyo dito i-drop ang inyong mga questions and we will surely ato paningkamutan na ma-address or matubag ang inyong mga pangutana. Now, to our virtual participants, we shall now be hearing what PPAN or the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition 2022 to 2023 to 2028 is. So in this discussion, we will learn the key components of PPAN 2023 to 2028 and how as legislators and our youth leaders be part of the solution to reduce all forms of malnutrition. Now, to elaborate on this, our speaker this afternoon is Dr. Parolita A. Mission. She is 20 years of service as the Regional Nutrition Program Coordinator here in NNC Region 7, and she initiated the organization of several socio-civic organizations such as PAN Cebu Chapter, Mind 7, and other networks for nutrition. She spearheaded the conduct of the first Visayas-wide GO and NGO consultation workshop for health development funded by UNICEF. Mga kanutrisyon, let us call on the innovative leader in nutrition here in National Nutrition Council Region 7, the Regional Nutrition Program Coordinator, Dr. Parolita Letlet A. Mission. Doc Let, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sir James, for that generous introduction. Can I be heard loud and clear?
Yes, Doc Let, loud and clear.
Okay, so thank you very much. Good afternoon to all our online participants. So thank you for your overwhelming response to our invitation. We are now, as of the moment, 154 joining us sa ato ang Zoom, as well as of course countless sa ato ang Facebook Live. No? So thank you very much to our Sanggunian members in Central Visayas, of course members of different youth organizations in Region 7, members of the city or the provincial, city, municipal, barangay nutrition committee, all over Central Philippines. Of course, the distinct members of the regional nutrition committee, nutrition stakeholders, and nutrition advocates. Mga kanutrisyon, good afternoon everyone. I am tasked to share with you the key components of the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition 2022 to 2028. No? So the outline of my presentation, I'll be covering 4 items. Can we have the first slide? Okay, so I'll discuss about PPAN, the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition's goals and targets, the strategies that we will implement to address our targets, as well as the focus of our discussion today. What are some of the proposed legislative agenda to support the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition, and of course, what are the possible areas of engagement for the youth sector in the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition. So in the next slide, you'll see our goals and targets, of course, of the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition 2023 to 2028. However, what is, in the next slide, what is PPAN or the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition? Next slide, please. This is our country's framework of action for nutrition improvement. So this serves as our framework or our blueprint of action for nutrition, and of course it hopes to address the nutrition situation as shared to us earlier by Ms. Nas, by Ma'am Nas earlier. Of course, this is consistent with the ambition natin 2040, consistent also with the 2025 global targets for maternal, infant, and young child nutrition, as well as the scaling up nutrition roadmap for 2023. And the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition also lays out our targets, directions, and priority actions. And of course, this would serve as guide to all of us who want to be involved in nutrition action. Either you are a national government our NGOs, our local government unit, our development partners, professional organization, and all other sectors who want to be involved in nutrition improvement. So in the next slide, okay, so this is a very heavy slide. However, we want to show the overall picture that would serve as our framework of action for the next or our successor PPAN. No? So as mentioned, our goal or our impact of what we want to achieve is the ambition natin 2040, which is strongly rooted, comfortable, and secure life for all Juan and Juana as our support to the Sustainable Development Goal. And of course, this is consistent with the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028, which is the foundation for inclusive growth, a high-trust society, and globally competitive knowledge economy through our Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition, which we want to have the quality of human resource base of the country, equality in human development outcome, as well as our maternal and child nutrition, which we can achieve through reduction of all forms of malnutrition, including those discussed earlier, such as the stunting, our wasting, our low birth weight in infants, our overweight and obesity, and micronutrient deficiencies across all life stages, and nutritionally at-risk pregnant women. This can be done through the outputs that we want to achieve would include our increased consumption of healthy diet, improve physical activity, our improvement of the caregiving and feeding practices of our mothers, Lola, who will take care of the child, or our irpats, or the fathers, who serves as housebands for the time being, as we shift into this phase of our development. And of course, improve health status, which can be done through our nutrition-specific interventions that would address the immediate cause of malnutrition, such as your food fortification, the PMAM, or the Philippine Integrated Management of Malnutrition, Nutrition in Emergency, our infant and young child feeding, micronutrient supplementation, dietary supplementation, nutrition promotion program for behavior change, and our management and prevention of overweight and obesity. These interventions has to be coupled with our nutrition-sensitive interventions, which addresses the underlying cause of malnutrition that would include improving our food supply chain, the food environment surrounding the consumption of our people, including the food consumption behavior of the Filipinos, lifestyle behavior, our Watson, and access and utilization of health services that is being provided by the national government through our rural health unit, and the caring practices of the family, within the family, through our caregivers, which would always be our mom, but of course our yaya, the grandmas, and the like. And these both specific and sensitive intervention has to be coupled with our enabling interventions, such as social protection for our vulnerable population, those belonging to the fourth quintile of the population, improving our food system, some legislation, which of course the special role of our members of the Sangguniang Bayan, Sangguniang Panlungsod, Sangguniang Panlalawigan, and of course our Sangguniang Kabataan, which would help us in the delivery of nutrition, specific nutrition-sensitive programs, fiscal trade policies, issue along education, employment, and livelihood to improve our income, and the cultural or norms, or debunking the myth and policies that our people might be harboring, And this is a combined effort of both the national government agencies, such as, of course, the many agencies belonging to the National Nutrition Council, regional nutrition committees, the local government units, and of course, our NGOs or non-government organization, development partners, civil society organization or alliances, academic, business, as well as our youth sector. So in the next slide, we'll focus on our goal of the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition. As mentioned, we want to achieve our ambition natin 2040 as defined by the Philippine Development Agenda by improving the quality of human resource base in the country, reducing inequality in our human development outcomes. So we will all march in step, and of course all government units would be fully developed, reducing our child and maternal mortality, and of course achieving our targets, that is reduction in all our indicators, reducing undernutrition, overnutrition, problem of micronutrient deficiencies, improving our inadequate infant and young child feeding practices, as well as reducing our food insecurity, especially to those food insecure households. In the next slide, covers the convergence of actions for nutrition. No? So gone are the days where a single agency approach would be applied. We want a convergence of all efforts of local government units, our national government agencies, and other development partners to achieve our nutrition outcomes. So in the next slide, are the strategies and interventions which I would elaborate in the next proceeding slides. So next slide, please. Okay, so the proposed Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition Strategies that would be included in the 2023 to 2028 PPAN would include, as mentioned earlier, nutrition across life course with focus on the first 1,000 days of life. That is the period from pregnancy up to the first 2 years of life, up to, of course, until eternity, until old age, no? Old age of our populace. That also, or intervention that would cover our older nutrition for older adults, complementation of convergence of nutrition-specific and nutrition-sensitive programs, strengthening of government structures for nutrition so that our people can have access to good nutrition. That is also incorporating our universal healthcare delivery platform. In the next slide, calibrating support to LGU based on need and capacity, especially with the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, reaching areas with high poverty incidence, and those which are areas which are geographically isolated and disadvantaged, and increase access and consumption of healthy and diversified diet. No, so these are the proposed PPAN strategies that are part and parcel of the successor PPAN. In the next slide, would cover the basic elements as just like our previous PPAN or the PPAN 2017 up to 2022, the 2023 to 2028. No, sorry for this. That's 2028 Nutrition Action Plan should cover our nutrition-specific, nutrition-sensitive, and enabling programs. So in the next slide, you'll see the specific interventions. We want our national government agencies, members of the regional nutrition committee, provincial nutrition committee, our municipal or city nutrition committees, and barangay nutrition committee would cover interventions such as management of acute malnutrition so that we can address those wasted children. The first 1,000 days program, of course, covering our IYCF or infant and young child feeding, micronutrient supplementation such as your vitamin A, as well as our our MNP micronutrient powders, dietary supplementation program, especially for our pregnant women, as well as our young children. In the next slide are other specific interventions incorporated or integrated in the new PPAN, which include, the next slide please, our overweight and obesity management and prevention, our mandatory food fortification, no? Monitoring our food fortification law, nutrition in emergencies to prepare our LGUs, particularly in times of emergencies and disaster, a nutrition promotion program for behavior change so that will improve our eating habits, no, of our people, which hopefully addresses our lifestyle diseases and other non-communicable diseases such as cardiovascular disease, our diet-related cancers, hypertensions, and the like. So in the next slide, the nutrition-sensitive interventions that would comprise food security. And of course, we are reminded earlier by Director Castillo on the Abacada, our livelihood programs, which is of course also implemented by DA, Dolly. We also have from the SWD, Watson, or water, sanitation, and hygiene. Of course, many sectors are engaged on this, and strengthening families because the prime responsibility of caring our children are families, and we want to empower them not to improve the caring practices. So in the next slide are our sensitive, still out on nutrition sensitive intervention. This has to be coupled with capacity development, research and development, surveillance, monitoring and evaluation, and information management, especially on what interventions that would greatly impact or drastically improve our stunting and other forms of malnutrition. In the next slide are other nutrition-sensitive programs that we want also integrated in the new PPAN. Accountability incentive regulations, of course, legislation, policy and research agenda, improving our planning and budgeting system so that it would contribute to our desired nutrition outcome. So in the next slide, are the specific intervention according to the different life stages, and these interventions are divided accordingly. So starting off with our pregnant women and lactating mothers, of course, there are nutrition-specific and nutrition-sensitive interventions addressing this age group. Our micronutrient supplementation such as iron, folic acid, vitamin A, and counseling for our nutrition-specific interventions, including that is for healthy pregnant women and lactating mothers. For those needing treatment and management, we need to reinforce them with them through dietary supplementation and micronutrient supplementation. While your nutrition-sensitive intervention would cover your provision of pre- and postnatal care, maternal and mental health among our pregnant and lactating women. For infant and young children, that's from 0 to 23 months old. For those healthy infants and young children, our newborn screening, appropriate feeding or the infant and young child feeding. For those in need of treatment and management, our appropriate still our IYCF, micronutrient supplementation such as your vitamin A and iron to increase their resistance and immunity, management of acute malnutrition, our dietary supplementation for these young children, especially starting off with children 6 months old, because our campaign really for 6 months and below would be exclusive breastfeeding. Well, nutrition-sensitive intervention at this age group for infant and young children includes routine immunization, provision of our our baby-friendly spaces, and mother baby-friendly hospital initiatives, the 10 steps of breastfeeding, our early child development to ensure that every child can achieve their developmental milestone according to their age. In the next slide are the interventions for the next life stage, especially our preschool children or children below 5 years old. A nutrition-specific intervention at this age group for those healthy preschool children would be your IYCF, while those in need of treatment and management includes dietary supplementation and MAM, or management of acute malnutrition. This has to be coupled with nutrition-sensitive interventions such as your routine immunization, child protection services, early child development, especially through our child development centers, and again, the continual monitoring and ensuring the achievement of developmental milestone of our young children, and classroom education. For the next life stage, the school-age children or those children 5 to 10 years old, our 5 to 10 years old, or our school-age children would be our appropriate feeding or balanced diet through our supplementary feeding in schools, and dietary supplementation and management of MAM for those in need of treatment and management. While these interventions are being implemented, the specific interventions, nutrition-sensitive interventions would also include child protection and classroom education. For our adolescents, in the next slide, our nutrition-specific interventions would include nutrition counseling, adolescent health, and preconception nutrition, because this is currently our main challenge as of the moment with the increase of our teenage pregnancy. So we need to catch them early on before they'll become pregnant to ensure a healthy pregnancy. And that's why the role of the youth here is very, very critical. So again, these interventions has to be coupled with sensitive interventions such as your healthy and family planning services, classroom education, and alternative learning modules. Our adolescent programs such as, of course, establishment of teen centers and mental health programs, especially with the increase of suicidal tendencies among our young adolescents. So this has to be enhanced. For our adults or ages 20 to 59 years old, our sensitive intervention here would include nutrition counseling for those healthy, while for those in need of treatment, nutrition counseling, nutrition support, such as your iron supplementation, nutrition support for those with chronic energy deficiency, such as your iron supplement for our women of reproductive age, and food assistance, as well as disease prevention and management. This has to be coupled with livelihood assistance, gender and development sessions, our healthy and family planning services for women of reproductive age, provision of social safety nets, as well as our alternative learning modules, to improve the behavior or achieve behavior change among our adults. In the next slide, our interventions for our older adults or 60 years old and above. For healthy and in need of treatment, we are to provide them with nutrition support for older adults, as well as nutrition counseling, because this age group requires special needs, because special interventions because of their special needs. And this has to be coupled with socioeconomic programs as your nutrition sensitive interventions. While for all population groups such as families and individual, for both healthy and in need of treatment and management, our nutrition counseling and education, individualized nutrition assessment, our nutrition social behavior change communication, physical activity, weight management, food poverty, and of course nutrition in emergencies. This has to be integrated with or added with our WASH interventions or water, sanitation, and hygiene, agriculture and food security, as well as our mental health interventions, especially for all this all population. So in the next slide would be our PPAN implementation. So next, please. So our, of course, as a review, next slide, the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition has to be translated into a regional plan of action for nutrition to address the needs of the region. And this has to be, again, adapted at the provincial level through the formulation of the Provincial Nutrition Action Plan, and same with the city or municipality, the formulation and the adoption of the city or municipal nutrition action plan down. So this is these are the interrelationship or interrelatedness of the plan. The Barangay Nutrition Action Plan would contribute to the achievement of the municipal targets and city targets. Your city interventions and plans would help achieve the provincial objectives to the regional targets, as well as to the whole country, the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition, achieving the overall goal of our country, our nation. So in the next slide are our specific legislative or possible legislative agenda to support the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition. So in here, click lang while I'm adjusting my battery. Sorry, because it's almost empty. So okay, so anyway. So our possible legislative agenda to support the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition, foremost of which is hopefully our legislators can help us in creating or formulating policies to strengthen the nutrition offices in cities and municipalities, and hiring a full-time nutrition action officer with technical and admin support staff, ideally per LGU, as mandated by law. Legislations along ensuring funding support for the nutrition program, such as the ASAP ordinance of Cebu City, which of course the region is proud of. Policies along first 1,000 days interventions, because the first 1,000 days, or we know the period between pregnancy up to the first 2 years of life, is considered the critical window of opportunity for nutrition interventions, and we need to legislate policies along this area. Policies along food security, to ensure that all household would be food secure and prevent them from further from hunger and malnutrition. Functionality of local nutrition committee, how to ensure that, especially we have a regular monitoring with that, and a sample one semestral assessment, and the latest of which was presented earlier by Ms. Nasi. And of course, policies to support healthy lifestyle in localities, such as of course setting up of bike lanes, green spaces, and all other areas to encourage physical activity, especially with our youth right now and the young children, which are very much attached to gadgets. So we'll provide them opportunity for them to move and be active. So in the next slide, this is intended really for our Sangguniang members. The next two slides would be the youth participation in the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition from planning in the planning phase for the youth sector to initiate or assist in the formulation of local nutrition action plan that is also in consonant with the youth development plan of the National Youth Commission. Ensure prioritization of nutritionally at-risk youth in the programs in the local nutrition action plan for our youth sector. In terms of coordination, it's encouraged that the youth will be involved or participate in the local nutrition committee meetings. So that means we have to engage the youth in our municipal, city nutrition committees, coordinate with the local nutrition committee, the participation of the youth in the implementation of the local nutrition action plan. Along advocacy, youth are encouraged to promote and advocate for nutrition program, not only along sports, but however, we know nutrition is a preventive approach na to of course to avoid the diseases, especially cardiovascular disease, and other lifestyle illness. In the next slide, other participation by youth, especially in the implementation of PPAN, ensures the implementation of the planned programs, projects, and activities, especially addressing the needs, the nutritional needs of the youth. Along monitoring and evaluation, monitors the nutritional status of the community, including our at-risk ng mga youth, and follow up our beneficiaries. Our M&E also, or during the MELP, youth can also be an active participants during the annual monitoring of local level plan implementation, either at the barangay level, municipal level, city level, provincial level, and the regional level. And lastly, the participation of the youth is also encouraged along resource mobilization and resource generation to generate or to access both human and financial resources. This is in coordination with the local nutrition committee. So I guess that in the next slide, I guess that's my last slide. So let's work together to end all forms of malnutrition that is affecting our region and the entire country, and contribute to establishing a human resource base, a healthy, vibrant, and strong human resource base for the next generation. So thank you very much, and good afternoon, one and all.
Thank you very much, Doc Let. So once again, that was our Regional Nutrition Program Coordinator here in Region 7 or Central Visayas, Dr. Parolita Let Mission. We hope that the discussions that we have heard and seen a while ago will serve as a guide for our legislators, youth leaders, and members of the local nutrition committees in legislating, planning, and implementing the nutrition interventions. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have specifically hosted this event because we know that the members of the Sangguniang and the youth, together with the local nutrition committees, are the powerhouse for improved nutrition outcomes. You, as the Sangguniang members and youth leaders, play an important role in legislating nutrition policies and implementing nutrition programs, projects, and activities for the youth respectively. We hope that we will have a strengthened partnership so we can create and make enabling policies for nutrition improvement and provide a wide coverage and reach of necessary nutrition service, especially to those who are nutritionally at-risk individuals. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, we will be entertaining questions, clarifications, or even hear out your experiences through a panel discussion. We have invited panelists from different fields of expertise. Our first panel member is Ms. Cherry May L. Malate. She is an NYC Cebu Presidential Staff Officer 1 and was the National Youth Commission since 2018 as part of the NYC Cebu Government Internship Program. Our second panelist has worked at the Bais District Hospital as a resident physician for almost 20 years and transferred to the Bais City Health Office in 2005 until present. She was appointed as the City Health Officer 1 back in 2007 and has been designated as the City Nutrition Action Officer in the same year. She was also awarded as the Outstanding CNOW as Nutrition Heroes during the COVID-19 pandemic, and she was also designated as the Incident Commander of Bais City ICS during the 2020 until this year present. She is also the president of the Sevanao Incorporated and the City Nutrition Action Officer of Bais City. Ladies and gentlemen, let us please welcome Dr. Maria Corazon R. Cablao. And our third, definitely not the least, no, we have also invited this panelist, but I think this panelist is also in a current session right now, so hopefully we will be also seeing from him. He is an environmentalist and at the same time a nutrition advocate. Honorable Archival is a big supporter of organic gardening and sustainable healthy living. Honorable Archival is a veteran councilor of the City of Cebu, and he was awarded Outstanding Professional of the Year 2018 in the field of electrical engineering and was the People's Choice Award for the search of modern day heroes back in 2012, Pitong Pinoy. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to the councilor of the 1st District of Cebu City, Honorable Nestor D. Archival. All right, at this juncture, this is our panelists, no? Our three panelists for this afternoon. Hopefully, later on, Honorable Archival can join with us. So let us have the sharing of experience and nutrition legislation and good nutrition practices of the legislators and youth leaders. So we have our panel member, Ms. Cherry May Malate, from NYC. We also have Dr. Cablao, who is the CNOW of Bais City and at the same time the current president of Sevanao Incorporated, and hopefully who can join later, Honorable Nestor D. Archival, the councilor of the 1st District of Cebu City. So out to our panels, can you hear us? Can you please turn on your cameras? Ms. Cherry, Doc Cablao. All right. Hopefully, they can you please turn on your camera so that we can see you guys? Ms. Cherry and Dr. Cablao, no? Again, to our participants this afternoon, you may have your questions or if you have any questions from the slides na inyong nakita kaganina, yung nadungog kaganina, you can drop those slides, input those slides in our provided question box para mapakuan po na nato sa ato ang panel discussion. All right. So while we are waiting, hopefully Ms. Cherry, Ms. Malate and Dr. Cablao can turn on their camera para makuha natin sila. All right, so I guess they are already turning on their cameras. Okay. So for our first panelist, Ms. Cherry, good afternoon nimo.
Hello, good afternoon sa tanan.
All right. We also we would like also to ask to greet our audience this afternoon, Ms. Cherry. Okay.
So maayong hapon sa atong tanan, no, sa atong mga speakers, sa atong host, and also sa atong participants today, sa atong young people sa Region 7. Good afternoon.
All right. Good afternoon, Miss Cherry. So that was Miss Cherry from the NYC. We also have our second panelist this afternoon, Dr. Cablao. Good afternoon, Doc.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone. Uh, uh, and to also the legislators and the youth leaders that are here watching us and looking at us. Maayong hapon kanyong tanan.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Doc Cablao and Miss Cherry. No, thank you for joining with us this afternoon. Okay. Let us start our first our panel discussion this afternoon. Let me start with Miss Cherry. No, Miss Cherry, Miss Malate, as you are the area officer of NYC Visayas, what can you do to ensure that the youth will do their duty to the public in terms of nutrition?
So good afternoon once again, sir. No, so on behalf of Sir Gian, our cluster head of NYC Cebu area office. So as an area officer, we are encouraging our young people to be part of the different projects and activities, especially sa NNC or the National Nutrition Council, which is for feeding. So we are encouraging them to take part and to do it also to their localities or barangays.
All right, thank you very much for that, Miss Cherry. So indeed, hopefully we can really coordinate with our SKs para sa ato ang mga programa sa pag-integration po, pag-appeal po sa nutrition sa mga programa po sa mga SK. To our second panelist, Doc Cablao, no? We have a question here. As the president of Now Incorporated, what can you say about our current nutrition status here in Central Visayas?
Yes, thank you, James. Actually, there is a slow reduction in the malnutrition and persistent problem of hunger, which can be partly due to the insufficient abilities of local governments in nutrition assessment and in planning, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of nutrition programs, as was seen during the slides shown to us by Ma'am Nasudi. There are still few LGUs who are not prioritizing nutrition programs and services and focusing their attention to other programs, thus contributing to increase in malnutrition in the region. There are yet unfunctional municipal and barangay nutrition committees, especially, we have seen that in the slides, especially with the advent of the pandemic, wherein limited interactions was observed, which hinder in the promotion of good nutrition services in their municipalities and cities. But hopefully, with the new normal adaptation to create a transition to a better normal, functionality of all local nutrition committee and barangay nutrition councils will be pushed through to make this pandemic become more, the people to become more resilient. The institutionalization of nutrition program is beneficial to address the gap in the implementation of the projects.
That's very much true, Miss Dr. Cablao, no? Hopefully katong mga LGUs na we have seen a while ago kuha na gyud sila most LGUs na fully functional na gyud ang ilahang LNCs. All right, so back to you, no, Miss Malate. We have also another question here, no? Are there nutrition programs being implemented by the youth? And if kung naa man gani, no, can you please give us an example?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon once again, no. So there, ang question is if naa ba mga na-implement nga feeding program sa mga SKs, tama, sir?
Yes, that is very much right, Miss Malate.
Okay. So as part of the youth, so sa atong mga
So I guess we're currently having a technical difficulty, no? Karon with Miss Malate right now. So I guess I will proceed with another panel discussion with Doc Cablao. All right, so Doc Cablao, another question is raised here.
Implemented the feeding program. Nawala po ba ako, sir?
All right, sige, Ma'am Malate, we can continue.
Okay. So, ayun po. So, we have some SKs who have implemented, I mean, a lot of SKs actually have implemented feeding programs. So, for example, here in Cebu, we have the Cebu City. They have implemented feeding program. I've seen sa posts nila. Also sa Lapu-Lapu City, they have also implemented feeding program, and it is not just a one-time big time feeding program. It is sustainable since they have started it. They continuously do the feeding program in their locality po. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Miss Malate. So it's really good to hear that some of our SKs have napod sa mga nutrition programs part sa ilahang mga programa, so kanang feeding program. Hopefully po kani po mga SKs who are doing feeding program maka-coordinate po sila sa mga nutrition offices sa ilang locality para ma-focus gyud kung asa gyud dapit sa ilahang locality gyud kung asa gyud ang needed so katong yung mga nutritionally at risk. So that's really good sa to ang mga SKs. Thank you for that, Miss Malate. So another one for Doc Cablao. What are your experiences in the field when it comes to handling nutritionally at-risk groups?
So good afternoon. So in Bais, we have 35 barangays. We have 12 upland, we have 13 coastal and 10 lowland barangays. And we have 3 JEDA, or geographically isolated and difficult to reach area. The delivery of the health and nutrition services in the upland barangays, due to its terrain and uncemented barangay roads, makes it hard for the city health office oftentimes to visit them. With 1 nutrition vehicle and 1 for health service delivery, we seldom hit our target in visiting them every week. So we are just thankful that our trained BNS are active in monitoring information drive and out at the OPT Plus services monthly. Any change of nutritional status is readily reported to the nutrition office, and ready-to-use supplemental feeding sachet are started to catch up with the ideal body weight and height of the child. So with the nutrition budget that we had, we allotted some 1,210,000 for the purchase of micronutrient supplements, because we know if we do the actual feeding to them, it will be hard for us because of their hard to reach terrain. So we did this by purchasing micronutrient supplements like NutriButter, the Inov Mom for pregnant women, our micronutrient powders, and our multivitamins and ferrosulfate for children and pregnant women. So when we conduct the pre-meal fee in 35 barangays, we see to it that our member agencies like the DSWD, the city planning, the DILG will also come with us to evaluate their programs and contribute by answering queries from the Barangay Nutrition Committee as to its functionality. So we are just thankful that our legislators are very amenable to our programs. And then lately, we had asked them to reorganize our City Nutrition Council, which also includes our SK chairman, our ABC president, our DepEd, and also NGOs like the Rotary and the 4-H Club. So it was already signed, the EO 031-2022, which is the reorganization of the CNC. So I think it answers the question of including the youth leaders in our CNC. So we have already the SK chairman, and also the BNS president is also included, and the BHRW president in our locality. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Doc Cablao. No? So it's really a wonderful sight to hear gani nga kanang nagid close coordination kita niyo from department sa Bae City. And it's really good na inyo nagid gi-appeal po ang ato ang mga SKs, ato ang mga youth leaders, as well ato ang mga BNS and BHWs. So thank you for that, Doc Cablao. Another one for Miss Malate. No? Is there a constant monitoring on the implementations of these nutrition programs? Akatong mohang i-share kaganina, Ms. Malate, on the feedings. Bas like constant monitoring on the implementation of these programs.
So hello, sir. So once again, no. So on behalf of Sir Gian again, so through the Regional Council for the Welfare of Children, where NYC is an active member, so yun po ang ating so maoto siya ang ato ang monitoring po. So in coordination with the Regional Council for the Welfare of Children, so we were able to monitor kung unsa nay mga kung continuous ba ang ato ang feeding program sa ato ang mga nutrition or feeding program sa ato ang localities. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Miss Cherry. No, so indeed, nindot kayo nga mag-monitor gid mo, and hopefully po ang kaninyo hanggi pang monitor ang inyong mga implementation ma-shared po ninyo sa different sectors po para makuan po nagi close coordination. All right, so another one from Doc Cablao. We have Doc Cablao, as a nutrition action officer, what can you do to improve further the nutrition services delivered in the public?
So first and foremost, the nutrition budget should be in place. So that programs and projects that are already lined up for the following year is funded. So these programs and projects should be institutionalized with corresponding funds so as to prevent disruption and loss of budget. Number 3, the creation of nutrition office with adequate staff is the key to improve nutrition performances, as it will ensure that there are personnel who will enable the LGU to implement these laws and target beneficiaries, especially the vulnerable and high-risk groups are benefited. It will make sure that various nutrition-specific and nutritionally related sensitive programs are planned and carried out in an integrated manner with the participation of all sectors contributing to reduce malnutrition and improve human capital development. Also, there should be an intersectoral coordination for nutrition with NGOs like livelihood and supplemental feeding programs, donation of seeds and farm implements, transfer of technologies such as food processing. Nutrition promotion such as breastfeeding advocacies and first in 1,000 days should be in place. So we had already in the city level, we had the breastfeeding support group wherein I am the chairman, and then together with our administrative officer, our DSWD, and our veterinary who is part of the advocacy as the CNC breastfeeding advocacy support group. Then capacity building for local nutrition committee. It should be trained in the nutrition program management. Then the LGU innovative programs, we should continue that. I'd like to cite out that the city of Bais was awarded the institutionalization of micronutrient supplementation for 6 months to 5 years old, the Nutri-Butter for 6 to 24 months, and the purchase of Innovmom for pregnant women. We have also our biointensive gardening, which is already institutionalized and was also awarded a Good Nutrition Project in collaboration with the City Agriculture Office, a member of the CNC, who allotted the budget for the purchase of agri-seeds and farm implements for household and malnourished children. The biointensive garden of the city produce were distributed to daycare centers for their feeding program under the management of the BNS and the daycare workers in every barangay. Aside from that, also our hospital is a recipient of the produce of these biointensive gardens and the BGNP PDL so that they will also be healthy. Then we also lobbied to the legislators the security of tenure of our trained BNS. Kay trained naman good sila. So by next election, we are just hopeful that these BNS that are trained will not be removed from office during their conduct of duty unless any administrative case is filed against them. We have also increased our numbers of BNS per barangay depending upon their total population so as to reach our out to barangays with many puruks. So there are barangays with 3 to 4 BNS to cater to their constituents. A total of 49 BNS in the 35 barangays are being hired and was approved. The newly hired and the old BNS will again undergo another capacity development to refresh their roles and responsibilities as BNS and training on IYCF, CGS, and the nutrition in emergency and BNAP formulation. We have also the outpatient therapeutic clinic. So was started in 2015 with the station of the CHO building and the inpatient therapeutic clinic for moderate and acute malnutrition and severe acute malnutrition funded by the GOD and a station at Baez District Hospital. But the city opted to construct a new building beside the new city health office for the management of severe and moderately wasted children 6 months to 5 years. So for that, I hope this will be an example to the legislators so that maybe they can also copy our uban nga mga nutrition good practices kay para po ma-in place na gyud ang atong regional nutrition status nga dili po ta ma-drop ug maayo. So hopefully the legislators and youth leaders are listening and watching us, and hopefully they can also copy us. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Doc Cablau. So hopefully you know ma-emulate yun na sa ato ang mga legislators and youth leaders who are also joining with us today. So congratulations to Baay City kay nindot yun kaayo ang inyong mga nutrition programs. And it goes to show no nga important yun nga makuan yun ang mga nutrition offices with proper staffing and mga workers, and as well kanang capacity development like we said, Doc Cablau, and strengthening the local nutrition action plan and kanang i-integrate ang ato ang PPAN. All right, so another question here, Doc Cablau, no, we have a question from our chat box no here. We have from Alegria RHU. We have a question. Good afternoon, Doc Cablau. We have a question regarding on what are the necessary reports to be submitted to PHO quarterly. It is one of the indicators for the assessment of the functionality. Doc Cablau, I think your microphone has been muted.
Yeah. The functionality is based on the DILG accreditation. So whatever the DILG has placed there in their matrix for the functionality of a certain nutrition council, we follow them. So for the submission of documents, it is we also have the provincial health office who is also monitoring us, but the functionality is based on the DILG criteria, so not the submission of any reports.
All right, thank you very much for that, Doc Cablau, for your input. Again, to our regional nutrition program coordinator, Dr. Mission, do you have anything to add on this question from RHU Alegria regarding what are the necessary reports to be submitted to PHO quarterly, as it is one of the indicators for the assessment of the functionality? Doc Lep?
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon again, James. What was the question again? Sorry.
Yes, Doc, we have a raised question here from RHU Alegria po, no? They ask regarding on what are the necessary reports to be submitted to PHO quarterly, because it is one of the indicators for the assessment of the functionality.
Okay, so thank you for that question. No, I think as mentioned by Dr. Cablau earlier, if we are to look into the functionality, improve the standing, which is a concern of your mayor, no nga, from non-functional to partially functional to substantially functional to fully functional, we just have to comply with the criteria or indicators stated there. The documents that has to be submitted, I think part of that is along your, because one of the indicator there is your conduct of PIR, conduct of quarterly meeting. So that's the documentation of that would be your proof, your evidence that you had conducted those meetings, you had conducted those PIR. So those are part and parcel of the document you are to submit. And included also is the result of your assessment, nutrition assessment. So then that has to be included so that that would form part of the evidences to ensure or to have the score for that particular category. So I hope I answered the question raised by our colleagues, Alcantara Bato from Alcantara.
That was from Alegria, Dr.
Alegria, sorry, Alegria. So thank you for that question. Anyway, we can also assist them individually as an LGU or through the Provincial Nutrition Committee Secretariat, no, of Cebu Province.
All right, thank you very much for that, Doc Let. No, hopefully we have answered the inquiry from RHU Alegria. We also have another question here from Cebu Province. Is there a plan to come up with a monitoring tool for the pregnant women? Perhaps it's an OPT version for PW or pregnant women, or perhaps the tool used by FNRI. I guess Doc Let, this would be addressed to you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Sheila, for that question. Monitoring tool for our pregnant women, no? So we will, as of date, we don't have a tool yet for that, but thank you for raising that. We can recommend that for the next round, no, of the tools that has to be prepared to monitor our pregnant women, especially that we are closely watching our nutritionally at-risk pregnant women as our priority in terms of our nutrition intervention, again, to prevent their delivery of malnourished children. No? So thank you for that. We will suggest that as of the moment nga, wala pa as of the moment. So hopefully that can be considered because I think what is used right now is the tool in itself. How to assess nutritionally at-risk pregnant women. But to monitor their progress, we can monitor while we don't have that yet, but currently you can monitor the status of pregnant women by also assessing their weight and of course other vitals, like for example mga hemoglobin, hematocrit, to determine the anemia state of our pregnant women, because these are some baseline data for our micronutrient supplement or iron folic supplementation po para nila. Thank you, Cebu Province, for that question.
All right, thank you very much for that answer, Doc Let, no? And to Cebu Province for raising that question. So that's a really good question. We can take down note, no? Again, so I guess wala na tayong mga questions. Unfortunately, the Councilor Archibald couldn't join with us today because he is currently in a session, but I'm pretty sure his heart is with us here today in this panel discussion. Also, well, no, thank you very
Sir,
much for your yes.
yes, Sir James, probably si Councilor Nestor Archibald was not able to join us. However, I want to share to our participants joining us this afternoon, they can also check or visit our compendium of local ordinances because there are two ordinances that are being shared there. The experience of Cebu City in terms of fund generation. The one I mentioned earlier, the Accelerated Social Amelioration Program Fund, that is a sort of tax kanang sin tax where 10 peso is being collected to patrons, so visits massage parlor, buwangan, no, kana mga ingon ana nga type of entertainment that is being used for the nutrition program, as well as their latest ordinance is the setting up of the nutrition office with full staff complement from a full-time nutrition action officer to at least 10 ka-technical staff and 3 admin staff, no? So that can be a model of Cebu City, that can be the Cebu City can be a model for that, ensuring, no, as mentioned by Dr. Cablao earlier, that's very important, the human resource that would monitor the progress of your intervention as well as look into the nitty-gritty of the nutrition program implementation, mauna ang ma-perform, no, kaya compared to a designated function which you have your principal hat being carried, the tendency is you put nutrition on the second line. So that's just an addition. So again, visit our website to access possible ordinances that you can, or resolutions or executive orders or other policy instrument that you can use in your LGUs according to your need. Thank you very much, Sir James.
Thank you very much for that, Doc Let. No? Again, katog gingon ni Doc Let na you can always visit our site para ma-emulate po ninyo ang mga good practices sa uban nato nga mga local government units. And as well, gi-post na, gi-share na po diri ang link sa ato ang compendium, no, of nutrition ordinances here in the group chat. So pwede gina ninyo matanaw sa ato ang mga virtual participants who are here with us today. So thank you again very much for that, Doc Let. And to our panel discussion, our panelists, no, to the Area Officer of National Youth Commission Visayas, Ms. Cherry May Malate, and to our CNOW of Bai City and the President of Sevanaw Incorporated, Dr. Maria Corazon R. Cablao. So thank you very much for being our panelists for our panel discussion in this PPAN forum this afternoon. Again, that was Ms. Cherry May Malate and Dr. Maria Corazon R. Cablao, and of course, our Regional Nutrition Program Coordinator, Dr. Carolita Letlet A. Michon. With that being said, to our virtual participants, we will be hearing a statement of support from the following personalities in the following order. First, let us hear from the Sangguniang Barangay, no, Support for Nutrition Program, from a personality who have served for 11 years in public service as Barangay Kagawad at Barangay Kampalanas, Lazi, Siquijor, and currently the Sangguniang Bayan member, the municipality of Lasi, and the committee chairman on health, Mr. Juvie P. Balasi. He will be followed on a formulation of local nutrition action plans, and it's an integration in the LDP and AIP. We have invited an MPDC who have served for almost 15 years in the position, and currently he is the president of Bohol League of Local Planning and Development Coordinators and the planning officer of Corelia Bohol, Mr. Benito M. Ricalde Jr. and to be followed by the role of youth in nutrition, a voice and a representative of the youth, of our youth. We have the SK Federation President of Danao City, Miss Rhea Cecilia T. Dayday. A round virtual applause for them, please. So first, we will be hearing an SB Support for Nutrition Program, the SB on Health in Lazi Sikihor, Mr. Juvie T. Balasi. Good afternoon, sir.
Ubos sa pagpaningkamot sa lokal nga pangagamhanan sa munisipalidad sa Lassi, aduna nakitay nagama ug napasa nga mga polisiya kabahin sa nutrasyon. Sama sa first 1,000 days, AO51 o Milk Code, 10 commandments o backyard gardening, pipila lamang kini sa mga polisiya nga among naadap. Dugang paniana, ana usab kami gipasa ug na-approve nga LNAP resolution para sa tuig 2023-2025. Nagulat na lamang kami sa mga official unsigned nga resolution amuha na usab nga gilabi ang adopsyon sa PPAN ug ang pag-adapt sa feeding program alang sa mga malnourished nga mga bata diri sa among munisipalidad. Pipila sa mga pamaagi nga among gibuhat aron ma-implement kini nga mga polisiya. Mao ang pakig-istorya sa mga technical working group ug sa mga pag-planning and budgetary officer aron magahinan ug ma-budget ang mga priority nga mga programa sa nutrasyon. Nagbuhat sab kami og program implementation review aron ma-identify nato kung unsa pa ang kakulangan ug angay ma-improve sa pikas bahin aron mapadayon ang mga epektibo nga mga estratehiya nga among nabuhat aron masiguro ang compliance sa mga polisiya nga atong gi-adapt. Dapat mo-allocate gayud ta og budget ug masulod gayud sa annual investment plan. Muhatag og suporta sa pag-implementar sa mga activities sa mga identified problematic na barangay. Mangulikta og mga maayong suhestyon gikan sa mga membro sa Municipal Nutrition Committee. Magkandak og consultative meetings sa nagkalain-lain nga ahensya ug magkandak og monitoring and supervision visits. Dugang paniana, magkandak usab og mga capacity building activities alang sa atong technical working group ug ang mga BHWs ug BNS aron makahatag og dugang kaalam para sa kalambuan sa atong munisipalidad.
I would like to express a pleasant greetings to the participants of the Regional PPAN Forum, and I would like to express my message regarding the critical role of the planning officers in ensuring that LGUs have local nutrition plan. So as planning officers, it is our primary task to coordinate with all the different departments of the LGU, especially in terms of providing relevant data and analysis of the local socioeconomic situation. We have to ensure that all the development sectors and subsectors, especially the nutrition subsector, are participating actively in all planning activities, especially in the formulation of the two major plans of the LGU, which are the CLUP and the CDP. This is to ensure that a holistic and inclusive approach to planning for the development of the community, and to make sure that no sector or subsector is left behind. It is difficult to talk about development in any perspective if in the first place people are sick or physically and mentally unfit. In short, the condition of health and nutrition in any LGU for that matter is the primary determinant of development. Kumbaga, if the people the government is serving are healthy, half our efforts in the quest for development is already won, so to speak. And nutrition is a precursor of that good health we are aspiring for. To ensure that LGUs have their local nutrition plan, all local planning officers must take active participation and representation in every nutrition planning activity, especially those which are initiated by the national government like the NNC. On the other hand, planning for the nutrition program of the LGU must begin with the local health department itself. It should take the initiative in ensuring that the different capacity development needs of the department necessary to carry out an evidence-based planning process have been put in place. First and foremost, the needed manpower complement in our respective nutrition offices. Furthermore, the creation of an active municipal development or municipal nutrition council as the policy-making body for nutrition program is an effective institutional mechanism that should be given much importance, holding regular meetings and, if possible, with expanded membership. Now, for making certain that nutrition program is integrated into the CDP, the AIP, and the ELA, we know that CDP is one of the mandated plans of the LGU with its implementing instrument, the LDIP, or the Local Development Investment Program, which is for the 6 years, while the EIP is the so-called annual slice of the LDIP. The ELA, on the other hand, is a term-based plan which is agreed upon between the executive and the legislative department for the priority development within its term. To ensure the inclusion of nutrition plan into these plans, it is very important that the rural health unit, particularly the nutrition office, is well represented during sectoral planning activities or in any forum for that matter that talks about health and nutrition, leading to the CDP and CLUP formulation. Furthermore, representatives to this planning exercises should also have concrete understanding of the nutrition situation of the LGU, which is to be supported with relevant data and analysis. To have all this materialized, it is necessary that the nutrition office in all LGUs, especially in the 4th to 6th class category, must be a regular office with regular personnel. Meaning to say, the office of the nutrition or the nutrition office in every municipality should have or should be a regular office with regular staff. Now, for the nutrition being a multifaceted and necessitates whole of sector approach, there are different ways to mobilize as many sectors as possible in the LGU. First, I think there is a need to expand the current membership of the Municipal Nutrition Council, because as far as I am familiar with the Nutrition Council in our municipality, the membership is limited, and we can say that some local functionaries are necessary to be included in the Municipal Nutrition Council, like for example, the municipal engineer. This is to ensure updates of basic infrastructure projects, particularly those relating to health and nutrition, like the common farm-to-market roads. In today's rising climate change concerns, representative of the DRRM office is also advisable. Since enabling policy and legal framework at the LGU level are part of the nutrition program implementation, I would also suggest that more SB members or Sangguniang Bayan members as policy or members of the policy body of the LGU must also be included in the MNC or the Municipal Nutrition Council. The Municipal Development Council may also be expanded to include representatives specific from the Nutrition Office. And lastly, sectoral planning, regular updating, and assessment of the progress of nutrition program implementation in every LGU or this kind of activities as frequent as possible, it should be conducted in the LGU level. And that's all I can say, and good luck to the regional PPAN forum.
Mayong adlaw sa tanan, na ako si Rhea Cecilia Didayday, ang SK Federation President sa Danao City. So ang papel sa mga batanon or role isip sa pag-usab no or paghimo sa mga nutrition program sa atong nagkalain-lain barangay, municipality o syudad, mao ang mahimong liaison or channel sa mga ginikanan kinsa naghimo sa kritikal nga nutrisyon o physical nga mga desisyon sa kalihukan alang sa ilang mga anak. So we need to create a better system that meet the needs of the poorest and the most vulnerable nga mga na-align sa atong PPAN or the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition. But our systems are far more vulnerable without yun sa active participation sa atong young people. So we represent the most active and energetic age group, and more importantly, we consume more than any other age group. So aron makatukod o mas maayong sistema ang mga batanon, kinahanglan na manguna o mao kani ang ipasabot sa ato ang tema karong adlaw, mao ang pro-nutrition, a call to legislators and young leaders for PPAN engagement. Sama diri sa among dakbayan, kami mga kabatanunan ang himong channel sa pag-organize sa mga kalihukan nga naglambigit mahitungod sa nutrisyon sa mga bata o mga kabatanunan. So nakita na ko no nga ug unsa kadako ang responsibilidad isip youth leader nga nag-alagad para motubag o maminaw sa mga panginahanglan sa mga bata, ilabi na sa katong anaa sa mga bukiran nga dapit. Ni atong mga niaging katalagman sa atong nasod sama sa COVID-19 o mga bagyo nga resulta gid sa pagtaas sa kaso sa malnutrisyon nga nakaapekto gyud sa development sa mga bata o wala dayon nahatagan og pagtagad tungod sa mga laing priorities sa gobyerno. So niini pagsaka sa kaso sa malnutrisyon ug uban pang issue sa nutrisyon sa ato ang nasod, hatagan ang taog dakong pagtagad sa ato ang gobyerno ang importansya sa nutrisyon sa usad-usa para makuha nato ang objectives o goals nga anaa sa atong PPAN 2022 to 2028 na mao ang 9 priority transdisciplinary nutrition thematic areas which aim to generate knowledge to address key nutrition areas, namely katong stunting, wasting, micronutrient deficiency, overweight, pregnant women, birth weight, breastfeeding, minimum acceptable diet, ug ang energy requirement. Dinhi sa among barangay, gipahugtan gayud sa among kapitan na ang mga batan-on sa different organization mo participate sa pagtubag sa mga problema sa nutrisyon diri sa among lugar. So gituduan kami sa among mga BNS sa importansya sa nutrisyon ug unsa ang role namo sa maong programa. So kami sad ang nangunaylo sa paghimo sa kalihukan o pagkuha sa mga impormasyon sama sa pagpahigayon o mga survey sa mga malnourished nga mga bata nga inubanan sa mga BNS o uban pa mga ahensya sa gobyerno. Nindot sa among feeling nga dili lang sa nakatabang mi, pero learn something every time na mobisita mi sa mga purok, sa mga barangay o mamino sa mga problema nga mahitungod sa nutrition sa mga bata sama sa kakuwang sa tambal, pundo sa mga programa nga pang-nutrisyon, mga personnel nga mobisita o mo-check no, sa mga status sa matag bata sa usa ka lugar o mga sustainability no, sa usa ka programa. So isip SK Federation President, vi-share na po tanan na kung nakatunan regarding sa nutrition sa 42 ka barangay sa Amadak Bayan. I-encourage na ko sila na mahimo usab sa mga kalihukan or programa or sa pagtabang sa mga panginahanglan sa mga lumulupyo sa barangay na inline sa Youth Development Trends sa National Youth Commission o sa SDG or the Sustainable Development Goals. Daghan kayong salamat sa pag-imbitar na ko karong adlaw and I hope nakakuha na mo og takeaways sa akong mubo na paghihimamat isip usa ka batan-o na nagpakabana sa nutrisyon. This is Rhea Cecilia T. Dayday, the SK Federation President of Danao City.
All right, those were the statement of support no, from our legislators, planning officer, and youth leader to contribute to the success of the implementation of nutrition plans, programs, and projects. Once again, that was, thank you very much, Honorable Balasi, Mr. Ricalde, and Honorable Dayday for your statement of support. Thank you for your time and sharing no, your expertise in this afternoon session. And please know that the converging of our efforts will significantly contribute to the improvement of the nutrition situation in our region here in Central Visayas. To show our appreciation, let us present to our panelists and other speakers a certificate of appreciation with the following citation. So let me read the citation. A certificate of appreciation is hereby given to for imparting his invaluable insights as a panelist during the online forum entitled Prioritizing Realistic Outcomes for or pro-nutrition, a call to legislators and youth leaders for PPAN engagement, given this 9th day of November 2022 at Cebu City, Cebu, Philippines. Signed by Dr. Parolita A. Mission, PPAN, RNPC of NNC 7. A certificate. Let's have a start off with Miss Cherry May L. Malate. Another one for Dr. Maria Corazon R. Cablao. Another certificate is given to Honorable Juvie T. Balasi. And another certificate has been given to Mr. Benito M. Ricalde Jr. And a certificate to Honorable Rhea Cecilia T. Dayday. And lastly, but definitely not the least, certificate of participation to you, our dear participants. So thank you for joining with us today. And we would like to acknowledge the LNC chairs, the mayors, and of course the councilors, the Sangguniang Bayan, who are also joining with us today, and to the nutrition workers, to the nutrition action officers, nutrition program coordinators, and to the focal persons in nutrition, and to our BNS and BHW, and to our barangay captains and barangay councilors and SKs, to our youth leaders who are joining us this afternoon in this PPAN forum. We hope you have learned something from this forum. To help us remember the main points to take home, let us have a synthesis and agreement of this event. Let me call on the DMO2 of the National Nutrition Council Region 7, Miss Nori Jean V. De Los Santos. Miss Nor?
Thank you so much, Sir James. And of course, daghan kayong salamat sa tanan nga mga nitambong sa ato ang online PPAN forum now for our synthesis and agreements and of course the next steps of these 4 hours or 3 hours no nga pagpanagkuyog together with the National Nutrition Council Region 7. So let me begin with of course the preliminaries and makita ninyo din hiyang mga nagkalain-lain nga mga hulagway sa ato ang mga nakakuyog karong adlaw during our online PPAN forum. So we started the program with a prayer followed by the Philippine National Anthem and of course the NNC hymn. We were also officially welcomed by the president of the Philippine Councilors League of Negros Oriental. We have Honorable Bruno G. Buford of the city councilor as well of Bai City. Ingon siya nga let us all support any nutrition program in our local government units and of course bisan pa og in transit no kaganina si councilor third day no ni gahin gyud siya og panahon no to be with us this afternoon. So also we heard an inspirational message from Director Wilberto O. Castillo from the Department of Agriculture, which is also the vice chair no, of our regional nutrition committee. So he said, Director Castillo said that malnutrition is a multifaceted problem and requires a multi-sectoral solution. And we all have a share kitang tanan no from the nutrition sector ang mga legislators nato ngadto sa ato ang mga SKs ang ato mga kabataan nga naminaw nato karon no naatay mga shares and we should act together in order to achieve our vision towards a well-nourished Central Visayas. So for our technical discussion, we started the technical discussion with the nutrition situation presented to us by the Nutrition Officer 3 of the National Nutrition Council Region 7. We have Ms. Nasudi G. Saluta. Diin iyang gihangyo ang atong tanan ng mga nitambong karong adlaw, particularly for our SB members to pass nutrition policies and programs. No, and of course, i-ensure nato ang adoption sa ato ang Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition and of course, be involved, no, apil gyutang tanan in the implementation of our nutrition program in our respective local government units. And of course, alang sa ato ang mga sangguniang kabataan or ang ato mga SKs to mobilize their youth leaders for nutrition education and initiate other young people targeted ng mga nutrition programs. Wala lang ta nagpunong sa nutrition education na naapay lain pa nga mga programa no nga pwedeng masudlan, pwedeng mahatagan or pwedeng buhatan og intervention sa ato ang mga kabataan. So this was followed by the presentation of the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition by our very own, the Regional Nutrition Program Coordinator of the National Nutrition Council Region 7. We have Dr. Parolita Letlet Mission, wherein mauni ang mga highlights food or mga takeaways na pwede natong bawnon sa iyahang mga nahisgutan. No, first are the possible legislative agenda to support the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition. We have number one, establishing a nutrition office in your respective city or municipality and hiring a full-time nutrition action officer with technical and admin staff support. And of course, ensuring the funding of or the funding support for the nutrition program and functionality of our local nutrition committee. And of course, ang ato ang mga nagkalain-lain nga mga first 1,000 days intervention, tagaan natong pagtagad, no? Ang ato ang mga first 1,000 days kilagi sa ginaingon pa ni Doclet kaganina nga ma-address gyud mo ang all forms of malnutrition kung atong ma-address ang stunting or ang pagkaputot and unsaon man, that's through the first 1,000 days ng mga intervention. And of course, policies, no, create policies to support healthy lifestyle in your respective localities. Example, mga bike lanes or mga green spaces baka ano nga pwede ninyong ibutang or implement sad sa inyong local government units. Aside from that, nahisgutan sab during Dr. Mission's presentation the youth participation in the implementation of the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition. Of course, mas maayong ang ato ang mga youth are represented and involved in our local nutrition committee nga mga meetings. Therefore, appeal sila sa ato ang local nutrition committees. Coordinate with the local nutrition committee the participation of the youth in the local nutrition action plan nga implementation kay dako kaayo og matabang ang ato ang mga SKs ang ato mga kabataan in the nutrition program of their local government units, ensures the implementation of planned programs, projects, and activities, and makatabang sab sila no in the monitoring of the nutritional status of the community, and mobilizes no and generates human and financial resources in the coordination of our local nutrition committee. So this was followed by a panel discussion. So we had Dr. Corazon Cablao, the City Nutrition Action Officer of Bai City, and we were also joined by Ms. Sherry May Malate of the National Youth Commission or NYC. These are the following sharings no nga ilahang mga na paambit na shares ato ang mga participants nato dili lang ninyo apanamo sab no natong tanan nga naminaw og nilantaw niining ato ang forum niining atong online forum. So again, how can the youth no unsa may matabang sa ato ang mga kabatan-unan in the nutrition program? So Ms. Sherry said that the youth can help address malnutrition in their LGUs by being involved in the nutrition programs, which includes the dietary supplementation programs. And kaganina said, diingon said, Dr. Cablao also shared her thoughts on the status of the malnutrition, or the nutritional status of Central Visayas. So Dr. Cablao said that us sa local government units should strive to make our local nutrition committees functional kay kita magyud ang hinungdan, kita ang kumbaga kita ang haligi sa ato ang nutrition program in our local government units. Aside from that, for the programs implemented by youth as shared to us by Ms. Sherry, we have youth organizations in several local government units has been implementing the dietary supplementation program or katong feeding program. So na-mention kaganina that there's one in Cebu City and Lapu-Lapu City, and of course uban pa nga mga local government units in Central Visayas. Also coordinate with the nutrition offices. This is the hangyo ni siya sa ato ang mga SKs nga naminaw karon to coordinate with your nutrition offices in your localities to ask kung unsa nga mga strategies can be done by the youth, unsay matabang mga strategiya or mga programa sa youth in our nutrition program. Aside from that, the Regional Council for Welfare of Children and NYC has an active monitoring of status of the dietary supplementation program in the different barangays. So also, Dr. Cablao earlier shared several of the nutrition implementations in their local government units na pwede kaayong ma-replicate sa ato ang mga local government units pod. So first, our BNSS are very active and active case finding or nutritional status monitoring even sa ilahang mga far-flung nga mga barangays, and they have allotted budget for the purchase of micronutrient supplements, especially for our GIDA or for their GIDA nga mga barangays, mga lagyo na jud kaayo kanang mga lisod maabot sa mga basic na mga serbisyo. So ilang gi prioritize kato nga mga barangays. They also have local legislators that are very amenable with the city nutrition program. So this includes the DepEd, SKs, and of course the present nga mga non-government organizations in the local government unit. So makita na nato diri na naanay active participation ang ato ang legislation, including our youth sa ilahang nutrition program, and that they have created resolution for the security of tenure no sa ato mga barangay nutrition scholars kay usa gina sa atong problema or sa ato kita tanan no kanang madali mailisan ang ato ang mga barangay nutrition scholars, especially mga after elections kana nga mga problema. And of course they have a PIMA management funded no through their gender and development. So mo ni mga possible replications na pwedeng buhaton sa ato asad no nga mga local government units. So na question ka ganina, this is during the open forum, necessary reports to be submitted to a PHO quarterly for our local nutrition committee nga functionality. So Dr. Cablao and of course Dr. Letlet Michon answered this question. So the ILG7 has a monitoring tool for the local nutrition functionality, and some of which include organization of your local nutrition committee, ang inyuhang regular nga local nutrition committee meetings, and the conduct of your program implementation review. Aside from that, we also received the question, this was, if I remember correctly, this was from Cebu Province, tools for pregnant women nga monitoring. So Dr. Mission answered this question, and NC7 Secretariat to raise the suggestion to central office no to help monitor sad kay tinuod man sad gyud na kinahanglan sad nato i-monitor ang ato ang mga nutritionally at risk nga mga pregnant women. And in the meantime, kita no kamo nga mga representatives from the local government units, you can monitor no your the nutritional status of your pregnant women through kanang mga height and weight and other criteria or available nga mga services sa inyong local government units. So this was the last question. How can the LGUs ensure that nutrition program in their locality be successful? So daghan-daghan gyud ni nga mga discussion kaganina no. Number one is of course baliko nato, the nutrition budget should be in place to prevent disruption of your nutrition programs and projects. Kay kung walay budget, maglisod gyud ta og implement sa ato ang mga nutrition program. Creation of nutrition offices and staff is really the key in making sure that nutrition programs will successfully be implemented, and the intersectoral collaboration of nutrition programs among NGAs and NGOs. So dili lang usa ka sektor ang mag-effort apan really a multi-sectoral nga collaboration within our local government units. So aside from that, of course, again, the first 1,000 days program should be in place, and capacity development among our nutrition focal persons should be conducted. And lastly, LGUs, no, this was the pahabol no nga reminder natong tanan for us LGUs to check NNC's compendium of nutrition ordinances for possible legislation nga replication. So daghan tag mga makita nga mga legislations na pwede natong i-replicate and i-improve sa ato ang local government units. So appeal na diha ang katong hiring of full-time human resources for nutrition and other mga possible sources of fund para sa ato ang nutrition program. So after the panel discussion and the open forum, we heard some statement of support from the different nga mga legislators, planning officers, and SKs in the different local government units. So first, from SB on Health, from Lazi Sikihor, iniingon si Sir Juvie Balasi, members of the local nutrition committee should be present and active in the activities of the local nutrition committee. Aside from that, Sir Benito Recalde of Corelia Bohol also said that there is a need to expand the members of the local nutrition committee depending on the need. Example, you may invite or include your municipal engineers and more SB members, sa atong local nutrition committees, and that planning officers to be or to share their inputs really in the crafting of your respective local nutrition action plans. Furthermore, Honorable Rhea Cecilia Dayday of Danao City also said that SKs can contribute to the success of the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition by being actively involved in the nutrition program and serve as channels for mothers on the proper nutrition of their children. And ingon sad si Honorable Dayday nga kita mao'y manguna sa mga kalihukan alang sa atong mga kabataan. With that, daghan kaayong salamat ninyong tanan, and hopefully dili kani ang ato ang katapusan nga pagkita-kita or pag-abot-abot no as honorable or kanang congressman councilor 30 said earlier. So congratulations natong tanan, and once again maayong adlaw kanatong tanan. Back to you, Sir James.
All right, thank you for that, Miss Nori Jean. No, that was Miss Nori Jean de los Santos, the DMO2 of National Nutrition Council Region 7. To our dear participants, I hope you will use the informations that you have learned today. No, so before that, so that for you to have your certificate, please answer the attendance and evaluation form that has been posted in the chat box or comment section. All right. So and to contribute to the overall efforts of your local governments through the local nutrition committee, to the overall efforts of your local governments through the local nutrition committee, particularly passing landmark legislation supporting the PPAN. If you are a member of the Sangguniang Bayan, or for our youth, the SKs who are joining with us today, to be engaged in planning, coordinating, advocacy, implementing, monitoring, and evaluation, and resource mobilization or generation for the nutrition program in your respective areas. We are now in the concluding part of the program, but this marks in the beginning of our greater engagement and collaboration to improve the nutrition situation of Central Visayas. Let us all be pro-nutrition. Let us prioritize, be realistic, and be outcome-oriented. Thus, the theme P, prioritizing, R, realistic, O, outcomes for nutrition or pro-nutrition. A call to legislators and youth leaders for PPAN engagement. Once and again, we would like to thank all who are joining with us today, to the LNC chair, mayors, vice mayors, Sangguniang Bayan, to our barangay captains, barangay councilors, and to the barangay BNCs, LNC members, and to our nutrition workers, our nutrition action officers, nutrition program coordinators, to our NDP focus and nutrition, to our BNS and BHW who are joining with us here today. You may now scan for attendance as shown here. This is the QR code. Once again, I am James Aaron S. Perez, the nutritionist dietitian 2 of DOH CVCHD and National Nutrition Council Region 7, your host this afternoon. Please follow us on our official Facebook page at NNC Region 7 to know more for nutrition updates. Thank you, and be nutritious and healthy, everyone. Happy Pro Nutrition PPAN Forum.